Hello, the problem of today is a three-mover by Lev Ilyich Loshinsky. The problem is toward the great grandmaster. He loved complex problems, deep ideas. The problem of today is a good example of what he was used to offer us. The problem of today is quite difficult, and I hope you'll enjoy it. I was asked to show it by Alain Revard, who loved this, so thank you, Alain. It's a mate in three. The white is down, the white pawns go up, the black pawns go down, the king is jailed, blocked on g4. The g5 square is kept by the white pawn on h4. f5 is controlled by the knight g3 and the pawn e4. The e5 square is controlled by the queen b5 and by the bishop h8 and blocked by the knight. The e4 square is controlled only by the knight. The third rank is controlled by the rook and also by the pawns on e2 and on f2. On f2 the pawn controls e3 and g3, and the pawn on e2 controls f3. The bishop on a2 closes the a column so that the queen will not give check on that way, and also the rook f1 forbids the black rook on g1 to give check. Black has a strong move that gives a flight. Rook takes on g3, and then we'll have pawn takes on g3, double check. The king will go to e4, and then rook to f4 will give mate. So the set strong move is followed by a set variation that is giving mate to the black king. I show immediately the solution. The queen goes to b1 in order to control the diagonal, and have a look at e4 and f5. The threat is knight to h5, the kings go to e4, and rook on e3 double check gives mate, because the queen controls e4 and f5, and you see that the bishop now controls the d5 square. We can see immediately also that if black takes on g3, you'll have pawn takes g3, king e4, and rook f4 mate. How can black defend these threats? When you play check, king to e4 and rook to e3, you see that the only reason that d4 is forbidden for the black king is that the black rook blocks this square. So if the rook goes, it will be a flight and the threat will not be able to give mate. So first variation is rook to a4. That is also threatening a check. We go to rook a3. That is controlling e4 and threatens knight h5 check. On that, black can answer rook takes, and then you'll have mate, because now the queen controls e4. If black takes on e4, you'll have queen takes, and if the knight goes to d3, knight takes. Another place is rook to b4, then we'll do rook to b3, threatening knight h5, and then if rook takes mate, the same thing as we saw in the first variation, knight knight and rook queen. Here there is also to be underlined that queen takes on b4 can be thought to be interesting because it controls e4 and threatens knight to h5, and also threatens to play queen to d2, but knight c4 closes the line, so it's a defense against knight h5, and also controls d2, and then the move queen takes rook is not good. third variation, rook to c4. The rook will be able to go to c2, and then we play rook c3 to forbid this, and the same variations for black. The threat is on h5, rook takes pawn, rook takes queen, and knight to d3, knight. Now black can also keep an eye on the d file and go somewhere on the d file. For example, black can play on d5, and then if we go anywhere on the third rank, or the rook or the knight will be able to go to d3, and we will not have a mate. We cannot take, because black will be able to take on g3, and because that the rook left the third rank, we will not have pawn takes on g3. It will not be mate. Instead of that, white can play on d4, because when the rook played on d5, it opens the possibility of threatening pawn takes d5 and give mate by the rook. So we have two threats, knight to h5 and also pawn takes rook. So of course, rook take rook is not a defense, because the queen also controls e4, so it will not defend against knight to h5. And if rook takes on g3, we'll have pawn takes on d5. If the knight e5 plays, it will open the rook to h5, and if the knight by playing on c6 controls also the rook d4, it is forbidding both threats. Also that and also that is not possible. So now we'll have knight mate on d3. Black can also play to d6, and now we'll be able to play to d5, because the rook intercepted the line of the queen to e5, and now when the rook is on d5, we add a new threat, bishop takes e5. So we have two threats, bishop to e5 and knight to h5. If the rook takes, you have this. Black can also defend by moving the knight. It is of course a defense against bishop takes on e5, and the knight can go to d3 in order to close the line of the queen, and then you'll have knight takes on d3. You have also rook to d7. It has also a negative aspect for black, that it closes the line of the bishop c8. So now we can play rook to d6, that threatens rook to f6 and knight to h5. So the same, if the rook takes, we'll have rook f6, and if the knight moves, it forbids rook f6, because rook f6 would close the line of the bishop. The knight can choose a place where it forbids the mate on h5, and this is knight d3 that closes the line of the queen, and on that we can answer knight takes on d3. Okay, so on these 6 variations we have a white rook that follows exactly the black one. When the rook played on a4 or on b4 or on c4, the white rook played on a3, b3 or c3. And when the black rook played on d5, d6 or d7, the white rook plays also to d4, d5 or d6, following exactly the black rook. Other defenses are, for example, rook takes d3, then we cannot play knight takes, because the black knight will take back and will not have a mate in 2. The answer is queen takes, threatening also knight to h5 and also on e3 and also on d2 by the queen. If the knight takes the queen, we'll have mate. If the rook takes on g3, we have mate, because the queen controls e3 and g3 like the rook. We can't play queen takes because of the e4 square. If the knight takes, it is the same. We have queen takes on d3, threatening now only on e3 and on h5, and if rook takes, it is pawn takes, and if the rook takes d3, knight, and if the rook takes on e4, queen. We have also rook takes on e4, because now the knight cannot go to h5, it will give the flight on f5, and the answer on this is rook f3, pawn takes or knight takes, and queen takes on e4. Last defense, the knight can go to c4. To c4 it closes the line of the bishop a2 to d5, and then if the king goes to e4, we'll need to control d5. We play like this. In any case, we go on playing knight checks on h5, king goes to e4, but now we play rook takes d4, because when the knight left e5, it opened the line of the bishop h8, and then the white rook can go to d4, it is protected, and of course on d4 the rook controls d5. There are small details that I want to add. Try that doesn't work. The queen to b2, threatening a mate on d2, then there are defenses, but the effective defense is knight to c4, and then if we go on by queen takes on d4, threatening also knight to h5 and also the pawn to e5. Black has queen to e5, controlling h5 and blocking the pawn. Another small thing is if the rook goes here, threatening knight to h5, you have now rook takes on g3, because the e3 square is no more guarded by white, and if you play pawn takes, you'll have king takes. That's it. I hope you enjoyed the problem, and see you for next problem next time. Bye.